Jude, chapter 4. If y'all can find that one. Make sure everybody's in the right book. Jude, we're in verse 7, and we've not finished verse 7 yet, so we'll pick up another piece of it tonight. He says, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them, in like manner giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. So we went through a lot of this and showed the connection between that and the Genesis 6 passage. Look at Matthew 24. Matthew 24. Matthew 24:15, he says, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. All the way through the Bible you find God doesn't eliminate bad things. He said there's a tribulation time coming, and what you do right there is you follow my instructions. Not say, let's find a way to patch it, make it better. This world is not God's. He's going to crumble this whole system and set up a brand new one. So we're not trying to be millennial. We're not bringing in the millennium. There's a bunch of people who think that. They think Christianity is supposed to get better and better and take over the world, and it gets so great. And then Jesus looks down and he gets so excited. He says, I got to set me up a throne down there. Doesn't work that way. No age has ever ended that way. Every age ends in apostasy. And it takes a miracle of God to start a new system. And that's what the millennium is going to be. Revelation 6. Revelation 6, verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto them, and every one of them, white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, till their fellow servants also as and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. That's a tongue twister. Okay. So this is an odd thing. This is somebody who's under the altar. The Catholics would call this purgatory. Now there's a relative... See, here's the thing. Just about every false belief system is rooted in one fundamental truth. Right now, when you die, you don't go to a holding cell. You go directly to heaven or hell. But in the tribulation, somebody doesn't go directly to heaven or to hell. They're in a holding spot. Right there, they're under the altar and they're crying out to God, go sick 'em. And that's what they're praying. Now that's a different system altogether, and it's going to lead up to that. It doesn't just, we don't just leave and then all of a sudden, boom, it changes and does a 180. No, I think it's going to, the water's getting warmer, and I think it's growing so that when we leave, it won't be a drastic thing. It'll be the next logical thing to have a one world government. It'll make sense to have the mark of the beast so everybody can keep track of all these things. And it would have to be for the whole world to buy into it. Now, of course, there's going to be some satanic deception as well, no doubt. Well, the devil was trying with Sodom and Gomorrah to do something. He had already cracked the door with fornication. The next step was bring down angelic beings, and he was working on that too. That strange flesh thing. We're connecting that with Genesis chapter 6. And so he's working on it. Now that's exactly what he's going to be doing in the tribulation. So he's just having him some trial run right there. Look at Numbers chapter 1. Numbers 1, verse 16. Numbers 1, verse 16, and Genesis 6, because I need to show you the context for what I'm about to say. Genesis 6, and I've got to find the verse. Okay. Genesis 6, verse 4. He says, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. So what's this men of renown? Well, it's the same thing. Partially, it's the same thing that everybody has a normal drive to be. I don't know why it is, it just is. Everybody young, as a youngster, you want to be somebody when you grow up. You should. If you don't have that drive, there's something wrong with you. And you know what? We've got a new generation coming along that has no motivation to do anything or accomplish anything. That's satanic, because the men of renown are going to show up and take the position they should have been claiming. But here, that men of renown, there's a danger in trying to be being an overachiever. And that's selfish and prideful. That thing is easy to fall into. Look at it in Numbers 1, verse 16. Numbers 1, verse 16. These were the renowned of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their fathers, heads of thousands in Israel. Well, that's always the way you have to have somebody in that position. There has to be a head of the tribe, but it becomes a coveted position, and that can become a perfect office for the devil to move into. That's why a pulpit is a dangerous spot, because the devil views that as, hey, that's a position I can use. Look at America. Most of them are being used that way. And it looks like a position of renown. Look at verse 2, number 16, 2. And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes, those renowned of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. There's a great safety in being a nobody. God will see to it you're not really a nobody. You'll have somebody that you have to lead, somebody that you have to help, and somebody will have to help you. It's vice versa. But if you start feeling like you're a nobody sometime, pat yourself on the back. That's a good spot to be in. Being a somebody is a tricky spot. The men of renown there, that's going to be the ones who are attractive. Look at that's the movie stars. That's the ones the world worships. They worship money. They worship music. All of those positions, look out, most of those are held by people being manipulated by the devil. Why? Because they receive worship. The devil has always craved worship. So if anybody or anything is receiving worship, he jumps in there as quick as he can get in there. And that's why you don't want celebrity preachers. Anybody can be a preacher. God moves on everybody to preach. There's nothing unique about that. You're one of the flock. It's just the position I'm holding right now is just what I'm doing right now. It could change tomorrow. Everybody has to lead somebody. Now, the celebrity position. Celebrity is something that is of the devil. For a Christian, we don't have celebrities. We shouldn't. Paul says over there in 1 Corinthians, I'm hearing y'all talk about I'm of Paul, I'm of Apollos, I'm of Cephas. He says, where's Christ in all that? Did any of them die for you? I don't think so. Okay. So a Christian has one celebrity. It's Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And then we use many people that we can learn from. And I understand that there's people that you learn from better. It's probably a personal thing. I don't know. My dad can't listen to anybody who's not King James. I can put up with a lot of people that are not King James for a while. Some of them I can't, if they're trying to prove how smart they are and superior to the King James, then they're making an issue out of it. But you can learn from people without falling in love with them and worshiping them as a person. In fact, that's safe. You get what you can from them and move on. John MacArthur, he's got a lot of good stuff. However, he's a Calvinist. I don't follow that. His doctrine's off. But I know how to pick through it. Okay? J. Vernon McGee's a Calvinist. Get what you can. But the most important thing is ask God about anything. Paul said these people in Thessalonica were the most noble in that they heard him. Now imagine that. Paul, the founder of the church, as we know it today, shows up to town and he's teaching them doctrine. And they say, well, I don't know about that, Paul. Let me study it a while. And that's what he said, that's noble. That's the way it ought to be done. Don't just accept my word because I said it. Go home and study it and let God tell you, because that's the celebrity. Okay, I don't know how I got off on all that. Ezekiel 16. Ezekiel 16, verse 14. Usually men have a set of celebrities and women have a set of celebrities. When I was growing up, the manly celebrity is, the cowboy, the one that, the big, strong, tough guy. That was a male celebrity. And then the females, I guess they would have some beautiful woman or something that they followed. I don't know. Martha Stewart, something like that, yeah. So something that appealed. But the devil's got just the right thing for every individual. You can count on it. Ezekiel 16:14. Who's this talking about? Anybody know Ezekiel 16? Back up to verse 1, see what you see. That's Israel. That's right. Yes, Israel. This is God recounting to Israel how they were a nobody and he made them a somebody. And here's what he accuses them of. Now, any time he refers to a nation is female. The nations are female in, not literally, but in type. Ezekiel 16:14. And thy renown, there's our word, went forth among the heathen for thy beauty. For it was perfect through my comeliness, which I had put upon thee, saith the Lord. That's a fact. God gives you something that's attractive. That doesn't mean that you become beautiful. It means you become attractive. There's something about a Christian, they have life. Life is attractive. It may take you a little while. When you're young, it probably doesn't appeal to you. But the older you get, the more you think a room full of kids playing is just a great thing to watch. There's just life there. You can see it. That's attractive. That's the same thing in the spirit realm. When you become saved, there's something about you that attracts the world. They think, now they don't like the righteousness thing. They don't like it when you talk about they're a sinner and there's a reason they're dead. They don't like that. But they like the idea there's life. You're unique. You're not trying to follow the pack and be just like them. Verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty. Now there's the problem. When we start recognizing that we have something unique, and we do have something unique, don't give credit to yourself for it. Your uniqueness is God, not me or you. And playedest the harlot because of thy renown, and pouredest out thy fornication on everyone that passed by. His it was. He said, you took the things I gave you and turned it into something you could use selfishly for yourself. So a Christian is made something special. That's true. But if we start thinking it's ours, then the devil can jump right in. You just gave him a wide open door. Look at Ezekiel 23. I'm going to let David read us this one. Ezekiel 23:23. You'll see why.
Wow.
Go ahead, David.
We didn't say wow. The Babylonians and all of the Chaldeans, Pekod and Shoa and Koa and and all these Syrians with them, all of them desirable young men, captains and rulers, great lords and renown, all of them riding up on
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, good job. Made it through all those names. I get nervous when I see a verse with all those names in it. Say, oh no. Here we go again. David's going to be my designated reader. You know, the black churches do that. They have a reader. There's some name that it goes by. I can't. I can't think of the name of it. They have a special name for it, and that's what they do. Their job is to read the text. But anyway, okay. So here's what's going on in this verse. The Babylonians are the bad guys, and what is it about the Babylonians that's the same as the Syrians? Their young men are captains and rulers and lords and men of renown, and they ride these great big stallions. Okay, they've got everything. Okay, you know how Israel falls into, he says, whoredom with them, is desiring that. Well, of course the devil knows this. So he gives all of his minions some monopoly money to play with. You know that's not real money. Nobody on this earth has real money. Ours has gone on ahead. The good works you do, if you do them correctly, turn into gold and silver. Not a fake promissory note down here. That dollar bill we got isn't worth the linen it's printed on. Or it's worth very little of the linen. But there's real money. So the devil's got this system engineered so that a man will look at what looks like good fool's gold and desire it, and then it changes your focus. Well, that's Sodom and Gomorrah. When Lot looked down there, he didn't look down there and say, man, that's a rough place. I'll see if I can improve it. No, he said, they've already got it all improved. Let me go down there and see if I can join it. Okay, well, don't look at any of the junk the world's got and think you want to go join it. You need to find something that's worth nothing and improve it. Okay, look at Proverbs 23. Proverbs 23, verse 1. Now I'm going to put something heavy on you. All of the... Well, pull out a dollar bill if anybody's got a dollar bill. I'll show you the first thing. You know our money's not any good anyway. It's got all kinds of symbols on there it shouldn't be. Look at the back of your dollar bill and find this picture on there of one eye. That's an evil eye. The Bible calls it an evil eye. There's not any single eye that's on us. It's God's eyes, plural. That single eye is mysticism. Proverbs 23, verse 1. When thou sittest to eat with the ruler, consider diligently what is set before thee, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. Labor not to be rich. Well, I thought that's what we did. No, your labor is for a purpose. That's one thing that America has got wrong. Americans think the purpose of going to work is to build a big bank account. No, it isn't. You go to work for a purpose. That money is to serve something. Your saving is to go in a direction. You've got a plan for it. It's not just to accumulate wealth for the sake of having it. Trump. Verse 5. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward the heaven. Eat thou not the bread of him that hath an evil eye. There's that singular eye. Neither desire thou his dainty meats. He said it twice. So there's something that's connected satanically with a single eye. And the Buddhists call it a third eye. And that's seeing someone's aura and stepping out into the mystic realm. Okay, so that's that eye. Now watch out for that, because now all of your movie stars and all of your politicians and all of them are doing this single eye thing. Their pictures, they'll have their hair cover one eye, or they'll do this thing right here with their eye. And the next thing they do is they'll have, watch it, a bruised eye. And start looking and noticing. All the famous people have it. Yes.
I'm just thinking I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that's because you didn't know to look. Start looking. You'll see it. It's all over.
The Masons call that thing we all see.
The Masons? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. That's a fake name for it. Yeah, it's demonic is what it is. Zechariah 11 verse 17. Here's why it's a single eye. One day somebody's going to show up with only one good eye. Zechariah 11 verse 17. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm, and his right eye, his arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. So, he's only got one good eye. Now, there's the eye that keeps showing up. And when you see it, I should have brought you some pictures of that stuff. I'll bring you some pictures to show you what I'm talking about. All the famous movie stars are doing it. All of the bigwigs, yes. And I'll bring you the pictures. But it's satanic. Do what? He only has one arm. So, what did Hitler do? Parkinson. What did Napoleon do? Same thing. They all do that. They start doing it even without having Parkinson. They just do it because it's the thing everybody's done. They don't know why. They're following a leader. One day the guy's going to show up and it's going to be the Antichrist. He's already shown us that. And something's going to happen to him. Somebody's probably going to try to slice him with a sword. Cut off the side of his head and knock his arm out. Okay, so Ezekiel verse 29. Ezekiel 29 verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him and against all Egypt. Speak and say, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I am against thee, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lieth in the midst of his rivers, which hath said, My river is mine own, and I have made it for myself. So, look out for that. These are all these satanic things, and I'm going to show you. Sodom and Gomorrah went one direction to get into the satanic realm. Here's some other ways to do it. So what do? They exalt the things of Egypt. Everybody loves the pyramids. We've got to go find out what's in those pyramids. We've got to study all the kings and the pharaohs of the ancient Egypt and all their customs. Okay, well, walk like an Egyptian. Go ahead. It's right from the pit of hell. What's the next thing? Dragons. We got to have some dragons. Look at China and Japan. They exalt the dragon. Okay, that's another road to get you to the same spot in hell. That's that demonic stuff. One day it's coming to earth, and it'll be very blatant and open. Daniel 7. Daniel 7, verse 17. It says, these great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Daniel's got some wild stuff in there. That is a tough book. Daniel and Revelation will give you nightmares. Ezekiel too, that's right, yep. Here he's saying there's four kings that are coming up out of the earth. That's demonic. And obviously people are going to think they're human. They're going to think they're a king. And they're going to set them on a throne. And they're going to pay homage to them. That's a demonic mess. Here's how you get in bed with all that garbage. Look at verse 23. Verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of the kingdoms are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. Okay, now we know where we are. This is the Antichrist. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand till a time, times, and the dividing of times. That's 3.5 years. Time, 1 year. Times, that's 2 years. Half a time, a half a year. 3.5 years. So that shows you the devil coming in and actually running the show at the last half of the tribulation. He's pulled off the gloves at that point, and it's bad news. Revelation 17:12. Revelation 17:12 is the cross-reference. Daniel and Revelation run right side by side. When you read one, read the other one and see if you can figure out what they're talking about. They're commentaries on each other. Revelation 17:12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. Same thing he just told us in Daniel. Which have received no power as yet. Same information. But receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. There it is, all that demonic stuff. And he's telling us that demonic world is going to bleed into what we know as the natural nature, human world. One day it's going to bleed in, and it's done it many times. Now, Sodom and Gomorrah was involved in that mess, I believe. You know, you may not take it that far, but I do take it that far. I say that strange flesh is more than sodomy. Now, it's strange acts they were doing, that's true. But the actual flesh being strange would be, there's one flesh celestial and one terrestrial. Okay. 1 Peter. 1 Peter 5, verse 8. This is a tough verse. Now, I know it doesn't seem like it's tough, but let's read it and find out. Be sober. What does that mean? Be serious. Be vigilant. Use your eyeballs. Be watching. Because your adversary, the devil, what's that mean? It means your enemy, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. That means eat. Now, I know everybody takes it spiritual, and that's true spiritually. And he can't devour. I mean, he can gnaw on, but he can't devour a Christian. we can't fit in his mouth. Now, he might be chewing on your foot or something, but he can't devour you. but somebody he can devour. Now we're looking at 1 Peter. Who's that written to? Jews. It's not written to the church age. So it's a good thing he's got that in there, because they're not eternally secure. So the warning applies. Look out, the devil's trying to eat you. Now what's going to go on in the tribulation? That very thing. Cannibalism. That's right. So the verse means exactly what it says, exactly the way it said it, doctrinally. Look at 2 Peter. 2 Peter 2, verse 12. He begins this chapter with false teachers. 2 Peter 2:12. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of those things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. Whew. Now, that's the destiny of the devil. He's going to wind up in a pool of his own mess and his own making, the lake of fire. But in the meantime, he wants to destroy anything he can. You know, they say misery loves company. They don't love company. They crave it. They don't love it. There's no affection there. It's a craving, not an affection. Exodus chapter 22. Exodus 22, verse 28. This verse is important because this is, I believe, if you study it and start really delving into it, you'll find out that this world system is run by a bunch of satanic people. The Illuminati and the Bilderbergers and the Rothschilds, and it's all literally satanic. And they're making deals with the devil, literally, to get more power. Exodus 22:28. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. Gods, little g? As though there's something around? Sure, there are. Stay away from it. Stay away from it. Don't be part of that mess. Ephesians 6:12, of course, the verse everybody knows. Ephesians 6:12, we spiritualize it, and it is spiritual, but there's physical element to it as well. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world. Not outer darkness, this world's got darkness. Against spiritual wickedness in high places that's on this earth. And you can count on it. The more history you study, the more you really start delving in, you find the bigwigs and the rulers doing stupid stuff that makes no sense, and it gets them power. And they get a great following with stupid things. I'll give you a little for instance. Two things. You'll remember, you can watch things happen that don't make sense if you really start thinking about it. Remember the famous internet site that everybody used to search the internet with was Yahoo. Which I didn't care for myself, but whatever. It was famous. That's the one everybody used. You know the problem with it? It put all kinds of junk on your page. I mean, you had to sort through 1 million different articles and ads and newspapers and all that. Okay, but it was famous. You know what replaced it? Google. A flat page. Nothing but a search bar on it. Okay, why did that? You would think the advertisers would be pushing Yahoo. Average Joe wouldn't be able to demand what's famous and what's going to work and not. But something flipped. So Plain Jane won out. Really? Doesn't make any sense. You know what was famous when the social media came out? MySpace. Okay? Everybody loves MySpace. Then overnight it disappeared, and Facebook has claimed the throne. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't have to. There's some spiritual junk going on behind all that mess, and it's not going to make sense. It makes Satan have more power in this area or that area. That's what's going on. And you'll see it all the way through. But that's showing you that we don't wrestle against the things we can see. There's something behind what we see. And that's where the real fight is. And it's spiritual wickedness and spiritual darkness that's available right now that people are tapping into. And if you're not careful, you'll tap into it too by accident, because the devil is a good false advertiser.